All right, howdy y'all. So kind of like what Catherine was talking about, I'm currently a student in the Masters of International Affairs program here at the Bush School. So I'm in my second year. I have some fellow students here with me, Julia, Allie, Sarah, and Colleen. And so we're all current students here at the Bush School. And so first off, I just want to go through each of us and kind of just talk about us and kind of what we're involved in and how we got to grad school. And then so whoever wants to take it, and then I'll finish off with then and we'll keep moving forward. So
I can take it. Howdy, everyone. I am Julia Patterson. I'm a second year MPSA student, and my focus is in public policy analysis with concentrations in health policy and state and local government. I came to the Bush School as a 3+2 student and just loved the experience in my undergrad as a political science major. So, yes, grateful to talk to y'all today.
Howdy, my name's Allie. I'm also a second year NPSA student studying public management with a concentration in state and local policy. I'm involved with the Student Government Association, and I'm also a GAR for the school. I came right out of undergrad here at A&M. I wasn't fully sure on where I wanted to go other than government, and so I knew that a master's could help me figure that out.
I can go next. Howdy, my name's Colleen. I'm a second year Master of International Affairs student focusing on international development and economic policy. So my concentrations are international economic development along with conflict and development. I'm also a GAR at the Bush School under one of our international development professors. I also work with the economic statecraft program as well, housed in the Bush School, along with another professor's conservation research effort. And I also came from Texas A&M undergraduate to the Bush School graduate program. Same with everyone else, kind of just needing to understand a little bit more about government and getting a little more classroom experience, especially with data analysis before embarking on my career.
All right, howdy y'all. My name is Sarah Cox. I am a second year MPSA student on the public management track, and I'm currently doing an individual concentration, one that I wrote up myself. At the Bush School, I am also part of the Student Government Association. I'm actually one of the co-chairs for the sustainability organization. And I came to the Bush School because my advisor during my undergrad had actually suggested it. It's something that they kind of pair up with the 3+2 program. And even though I wasn't in the 3+2 program, they had suggested it. And I actually came to the Bush School with like no knowledge in public policy, government, any of that. So you can succeed in the Bush School if you don't have that background.
awesome. Thanks you guys. I appreciate that. So kind of similar, like I said, I'm a second year Masters of International Affairs student on the National Security and Diplomacy track, and I have concentrations in China and the Indo-Pacific, intelligence, as well as defense policy. And so now what I kind of want to talk about with you guys is kind of our why behind what we getting to grad school and how we found the Bush School and stuff like that. So I did my undergraduate here at Texas A&M in economics. And so originally what I was looking to do, my kind of why was always kind of service related. So I originally came into school on a Marine Corps scholarship, ROTC scholarship. After some time with that, I found out I was medically disqualified for that. But I found the Bush School in a search to kind of I had a lot of people suggest it to me, kind of like what other people are kind of similar saying, because I always had this passion for service and wanting to serve in any way that I could. And so I knew that I wasn't going into the Marine Corps anymore. And so I wasn't able to serve in the military. But I was still able to go through the Bush School and get those experiences, get that education, meet these people, meet these faculty, and mature in that way and move more into public service. And so the thing I really just want to highlight with us is kind of like our why, how we kind of found the Bush School. And so I think for me, it was just a very natural progression, just already being here at A&M and just being in some of the organizations I was in that were very closely aligned with the Bush School. And I think just something that, you kind of have inherently inside of you to serve, to do public service, because, as we always say here, public service is a noble calling. That's George Bush 41 quote that we like to highlight a lot here. And so I really believe that. And I believe, all my other students with me here today also would agree with that. But if you guys want to just kind of go through and maybe give like, this is how I found out about the Bush School and stuff like that. Like for me, I know the same thing with Sarah, is I didn't have any kind of knowledge in international affairs or public policy or foreign policy or anything like that. Like I said, I did my undergrad in economics, so something that isn't necessarily super related. But if you guys want to talk about just a little bit about your why and how you found the Bush School, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't mind going. It's very natural, of course, that Bush School is right here associated with A&M, but I actually was applying to other schools. I really have loved my time in College Station, but I also think it's important to like diversify your experiences and try new areas. So I was actively pursuing other schools, but I still applied to the Bush School because it's the cost, you can't beat that. And so I had got accepted to other places, but it was hearing General Welsh speak at our interview conference weekend, and I was like, yep, it's the Bush School. Like he really emphasized the public service and my heart behind going into these programs. Other programs were like, look at all these great things we have, but the Bush School is very down to earth of here's who we are and why this matters. And really a testament to HW. And so that was my moment. I was like, it's the Bush School. And then, like I said, the cost really helped and the aid that they provided. And so there really wasn't any other option. I was like, it has to be this.
I can go next. So I kind of always figured I'd end up being in the government. So the summer before my freshman year of college, I went to DC and we got one of those tours to like your congressional office. And the person who gave our tour was an Aggie. And she, I believe, was doing like a 3+2 program with the Bush School. And so she was telling me all about it. And so it kind of just stuck with me. And so my junior year, I spent a semester in DC and I worked in that same congressional office for the same representative. And there, everybody I encountered, and I'd say, because they'd always ask, what are you going to do after? And I go, I think I'm just going to go to grad school or come back here. And they go, you need to go to the Bush School. We have so many Bush School students up here. They're such great people. They know so much. They just fit in so well amongst all the different agencies. As I just kept hearing Bush School come up, and then coming back, I started digging into it. And as Ali was saying, it's very cost effective. It's very nice to be an in-state resident, but I also was applying to other schools. I knew it was going to be between Bush School and LBJ down in Austin. But in the end, it was very similar to Ali in that the way that the Bush School was explaining their school, and that you could just feel the heart behind it. And all the professors, they genuinely wanted to make a connection with you at the interview conference weekend. And they were so open. They said, if you have anything, you can come back. You can call us at any moment. We'll connect you with anything you need. And that was kind of just different from everybody else that I was talking to. And it's kind of how I just ended up here. Just the whole public service is a noble calling is really, it just sticks with you. And it's kind of what's been guiding me to keep pursuing government, because I thought I might switch away from it, but the Bush School just solidified that noble calling to public service.
All right, I can go next. Like I said before, I was really wanting to do graduate school after I did my bachelor's, and I knew I wanted to stay at A&M because it's such an awesome school. And also I was in the Corps and Aggie band, so I kind of wanted my fourth year. So getting into a graduate program at Texas A&M was super important to me. So I actually applied to this program, and I applied to the RWFM and the Park and Rangeland program, I believe. So I kind of had to pick, but it was really the interview conference weekend that influenced my decision, because like people were saying, you come to this interview conference weekend and everyone is just so friendly and the faculty were awesome, and it was just so informative on how like the Bush School was going to help you become a better version of yourself. And there were all sorts of things put in place to ensure that you succeed, whether it's finances. They have a mentorship program if you just need some connection. There's just all sorts of things that the Bush School does to make sure that you can succeed and have the best college experience.
I can go next.
So I really had two factors for why I wanted to go to the Bush School. Like Ali,
Hearing President Welsh speak at interview conference weekend was just so reaffirming of my commitment to public service and my desire to go to the Bush School. I was also, though, at that second spring semester, my junior year, taking the semester off to intern at the Senate Health and Human Services Committee in the state legislature. And really through that experience, I saw the network of the Bush School at hand. There were 2 other Bush School alums in my office, and seeing how well they connected and all of the dynamics of their success, that the skills that they were afforded through the Bush School made me really want to go there as well, because I saw how much better I could become in my career through attending the school.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, you guys. And so now I kind of want to just talk about what our day-to-day looks like. Like, what is it like to be a student at the Bush School? What are your classes like? What are things that you like about the Bush School? What are things you appreciate? Things like that. And just kind of your day-to-day life and how maybe it differs a little bit from undergrad, especially. If whoever feels called to want to talk about that, and then I'll go at the end too.
I guess I can start. I guess the biggest difference between undergrad and graduate classes is that most of the classes that you will take are 3 hours long, which was probably the biggest adjustment for me, because I'm used to 15-minute, hour and a half classes. But after a little bit, it didn't really feel like 3 hours after a while, because you'd get a break halfway through. And honestly, it's not just your professor lecturing the whole time. Like, there's discussion, there's sometimes activities, so it really makes things go by really fast. Another nice thing about these 3-hour classes is that if you arrange your schedule in the best way, sometimes you can have a 5-day weekend. I think I only had a 4-day weekend last year, but some people were able to adjust their schedule so you could get a 5-day weekend, which honestly is pretty cool. I also worked during last semester and this semester, so it is totally possible to be able to hold down a job if you are needing to do so. And you will have time for organizations as well. So just because you're in grad school doesn't mean you're limited to just the school part.
Yeah, I'm actually one of those lucky people who has a 5-day weekend. So I set up all 4 of my classes to coincide with 2 days. And it really, like Sarah was saying, it's not as bad as it sounds. The classes are really engaging. I think the biggest difference from undergrad, at least for me, was that everybody else in the room also really wants to be there. I think that's what makes like grad school communities a lot better than undergrad. Of course, there's less people, but we're all choosing to go back to school. Like, everyone wants this, and we all felt that same calling to go here and to get that next step in our education. And so everyone's really committed. Yeah, team projects are never the best depending on your personality, but I've never had them run so smoothly either, just because everyone wants this. I've also been working every semester that I've been at the Bush School. It definitely takes time management, but it's possible. And so I've really just appreciated the community and the professors.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want
just
to highlight, sorry.
oh, no, you're good. Yeah, but going reiterating off of what everyone else saying with the atmosphere of the school, it is very much everyone's choosing to be here. You know, getting the master's, it's an extra step that you take. before embarking on a career or if you're taking a break in your career. And so that really does shift the atmosphere of the Bush School. But the biggest thing for me that I felt that was a big change from undergrad to grad is just the connection to your fellow students. I had some smaller classes in undergrad, but I wouldn't really talk to everybody in the class all the time or hang out with them to the extent that I do here. And it might be that you're in the tinier program, you're in these 3-hour classes, but you're also all in one building. You see everybody in the student lounge and you're all just making friendships and connections, and you're just talking to so many different people from so many different backgrounds. And it just builds a really strong connection that I never really experienced in undergrad, because it is a big school, undergrad A&M. It's thousands of students. And so kind of that shift was a pretty different, kind of scale it down, but it's very worth it. And the 3-hour classes help. They are very hard to adjust to at first. You're sitting there and you just think, I can't believe I would sit through a 50-minute class and think that was super long. Now these 3-hour classes are super long, but they're also great to get discussions going. And I also have worked every semester in graduate school. It's very possible if you can learn time management, which is a great skill to have going into a career. So you can always flex that in a job opportunity. I would always talk about that in my internship interviews. But yeah, very doable.
For me, the biggest difference was the size of the classes. So come from a large political science department, I had classes with 100 or so students, and now I think my largest class that I've had is 25. And so with that being 3 hours long, you really get to know the professors very well. Talking with them in office hours, you build that connection a lot more, and that really has been amazing to experience and to engage with them on these deeper conversations as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, you guys. No, I agree with everything that you guys are saying. I think one of the really special things about the Bush School is that sense of community that you have, not just with like the faculty and the staff, but also with your fellow students, and talking about like coming from these big undergraduate programs where you have like hundreds of people in your class, and you don't know that many people, maybe you don't talk to that many people in class. Now the way that these classes run is you have these like maybe 20 people max, like 25 people max in a class, and they're very much discussion based. And I think the kind of like what you guys were talking about with the 3-hour long classes, it's definitely a transition from undergraduate, but I think they're done in a way that's really, really awesome because they afford the ability to really get in depth on a lot of these topics and have these really in-depth discussions and really flesh this stuff out that you wouldn't necessarily get from undergrad. A lot of the time in undergrad, you're just sitting there and looking at a PowerPoint and taking notes for 50 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes. But there's a lot more dynamic, I'd say a lot more dynamic learning in grad school where you really are critically thinking and really critically looking and hearing other people's perspectives. And I think that's something that's really, really unique as well. And especially as someone in these classes that necessarily like has a certain perspective on a lot of things, like maybe a little bit more like an intelligence community perspective, being able to be in class with people who like think like international economics and development or like and things like that, or we're had a huge variety of experiences from these students. Like you'll get the people kind of like us who kind of went straight into the graduate program um, after their undergrad, but then you also get a lot of students too that have been in the workforce for, some people even decades and are coming back to school and so have all that experience from the real world to kind of bring in that you get to hear. And I think the beauty of that a lot is that nobody's kind of like opinion or perspectives is invalidated because everybody learns from each other on that. I think that's been my favorite thing is just I feel like I've learned a ton in my classes just hearing from other students speaking. And I think that's been like the most valuable experience. And I think another kind of intangible thing about grad school that's been really awesome is that, kind of similar to Sarah, I was in the Corps Cadets here and I was looking at the prospect of graduating when I was 21 and then like going out into the real world. I don't think anyone would have hired me at 21 years old, and frankly, I definitely wasn't mature enough for it. And I think the environment that is cultivated at the Bush School, with everybody who kind of like everybody's saying, like everybody really cares about being here, everybody's really motivated, to go to that next level, and that's why they're in grad school. I think it matures you a lot. And I think it really gets you ready for the real world in a lot of ways, especially with things like having like the internship that we do over the summer, and then the capstones that we do for a client during the program. Um, I think there's a lot. It's really structured in a way that grows you up a lot and really does actually like give you a lot of good soft and hard skills that you're going to actually use in your career. I feel like when I did my internship over the summer in DC, there's a lot of things that I learned from my time in the Bush School just in my first year that I thought paid a lot of dividends for me. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the Bush School when you kind of look at stuff on paper, right? Like you can look at statistics for other schools and things like that. But um, a lot of the benefits of the Bush School are things that you can't necessarily read about on a website, or you can't um, read statistics on. You have to kind of experience it, you have to feel it. And I think that's like a lot of what I hope you guys are getting out of us talking to you today, is seeing kind of like how passionate we are about this program, and the benefits that we've seen from it and how much we love it, and everybody here, us talking to you right now, are talking to you right now because we're so passionate about this program that we want to come talk to you about it and tell you guys about how great it is, and how much we've loved it. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of these intangible benefits with the Bush School, and like kind of like some people were mentioning, the cost literally cannot beat it. I did my undergrad here at A&M, and I don't know how, but somehow my graduate degree is my master's is cheaper than my undergraduate, which is totally unheard of. I think a lot of people probably have that sentiment, and I think the concept of the time management that's been brought up a few times is definitely, you definitely get a lot of time management. You learn a lot different skills in your time management, and the way that you do stuff, and the way that you learn, and the way that you prepare for class and stuff like that in this master's program in graduate school than you do in undergraduate, right? And so I was also thankful that I've been able to hold down a job. I mean, this is my job right now, but and do and manage that pretty well. Especially even last year too, I was working, but I was also, like I said, in the Corps Cadets, and I was in a leadership position. That was a big time commitment, and it's there's a lot of these things that you kind of learn that just kind of make you a better person, I think, in general, and make you a little bit more well-rounded. And I think those are those skills that you get, that you can take into the real world and take into your careers, and things like that, that you wouldn't necessarily think about getting from a master's program. And like I said, just kind of the perspectives on how you see the world and stuff like that. Like I came in with a very particular perspective about the world and foreign policy, even though I wasn't hyper educated on it officially. Um, and just being able to like hear these experiences from people who have actually been overseas or actually been doing these jobs, as well as just like my fellow students that came straight out of undergrad, and the way that they saw things, it makes you a lot more well-rounded. And it definitely, the critical thinking that you get, or I guess the intellectual stimulus that you get from this program, I don't think can be understated. And the ability to also have the network of Texas A&M is incredible. We really kind of like was alluded to earlier. We really like to take care of each other, especially in DC. I don't think I could go anywhere in DC without seeing someone wearing some kind of A&M gear. I know at work for me this summer, I had like 8 Aggies on my floor alone, like 3 or 4 of them were Bushies. I went to the Bush School, and I had like 100+ Aggies at the place I was at this summer. It is very prevalent, and people are really proud of being Aggies, and they really like to take care of other Aggies. And I think that's something that also doesn't get emphasized enough. And just that sense of community that you get at Texas A&M, not even just the Bush School, um, is something that's really important. And we take a lot of pride in that kind of culture that we have here. of being really proud of the values that we all share and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool for us students is to have this basis with each other that we're able to relate to each other just on the basis of being Aggies, and that like you have at least something you can relate to them on that just inherently. But now what I want to do is I kind of want to move a little bit into a Q&A now that we kind of had a general talk. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to just like unmute and ask, or if you want to put them in the chat, I'll be watching the chat and then we'll kind of just go through. If you have any questions specifically for anyone, if you want to ask like more about like international development or anything like that, please feel free. But looks like we already got a question already, but okay, Reed. Okay. All right, Reed. So I guess this is a little bit more specific to me since you're in the core. Howdy, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. So for me being in the core, I was in K2, and last year I was a commander. I was a commander of the Ross Volunteer Company, and time commitment wise, I think it's very doable. And so putting out and wanting to go out for a commanding officer, the outfit is really awesome, and you should. I know plenty of people who were in these leadership positions in the Corps or had these big time commitments, kind of similar to that, that were able to make it work. And so, basically, a lot of what it ended up being for me is I had to do a lot of my Corps cadets duties last year, kind of during the day. And then I had to work a little bit more on my schoolwork and stuff at night. And like, yeah, there's some late nights. Um, but I think it was really worth it. And so it's all kind of just about how you manage it and you balance it, and a lot of just kind of how motivated you are and how you stay motivated. But it's certainly doable. It's not. Don't limit yourself just because you want to go to the Bush School. But I know that was a little bit more specific for me. But yeah, it's definitely doable. The time commitment of that stuff you can work with. So, all right, wonderful. Okay, so what are some internship opportunities students could participate in during the summer internship portion of the program? I'm gonna let you guys talk about what you guys did for your internships and stuff like that, and just kind of what your experiences have been, and maybe give some ideas on what people could do. But pretty much, I'll just say like the sky's the limit. It's pretty much whatever you want. I will say, I'll just caveat, if you're trying to do something that requires a security clearance, you got to get going on it a little bit earlier. Because it is a process, but there's a ton of opportunities, and I'll say career services team that we have here is really, really, really good about sending out those opportunities, because there's literally dozens and hundreds that they send out all the time. So you will find something that you like. But I'll kind of let everybody talk about what they did this last summer and what their experiences have been.
So for the internship opportunity, like Adam said, there's sky's the limit. The Bush School, amazing about bringing in employers. Like, in any given week, there's 3 to 4 employers always here, like on Zoom or in person. And I think it speaks a lot about the Bush School in that sense that people keep coming back to try to recruit students from our program. But a big thing, we have the Career Center, but the professors are phenomenal with connecting you with your internships. So this past summer, I interned with the Bureau of International Labor Affairs, and I was connected and helped with that opportunity through one of our professors, Dr. Raymond Robertson, our big trade and labor econ professor, who's now at DC Bush School. But he was my trade professor, and then I would ask him, I said, do you have any ideas about internship opportunities? I'm kind of lost. I kind of need some help. And he said, oh, okay, I'm going to take your resume and pass it off to the people I know at iLab. And within 2 weeks, I got email asking for an interview. And then the next day, I received my offer for my internship. So the Career Center is amazing, but the professors love students. They're here for the students. A lot of these professors could be doing a lot of other things, but they choose to be here. And so they love helping students, and they know so many great professionals in their field. So you also have a wide breadth of opportunities through your professors.
Yeah, definitely. I worked at the EPA this last summer, so I was up in DC, And another thing that A&M has is the public policy internship program. And so I got the EPA internship through my own applications, but that's another opportunity that you can apply to. And if you get accepted into that program, they're able to help out with housing. And then they also help you try to find other internships with their own network of people up in DC. So that's also an option.
I had a bit of a unique situation, so I waived my internship and studied abroad in Greece with Dr. Robichaud. If y'all heard from her earlier yesterday. But want to emphasize as well, professors being helpful. I had Dr. Nakamura came down and would just sit with us in the lounge and ask us about how he could help us find internships, what we were interested in, et cetera. So they're very accessible and they're very helpful.
Yeah, no, they like I said, the career services team is awesome and send out a ton of opportunities. But if there's something more specifically that you're looking towards, especially with how well connected these professors are, kind of like what we were saying, um, definitely take advantage of that because they're very accessible and they really, I mean, that's why they're here. Kind of like I was saying, like they could go do a lot. Like these professors could go be doing a lot of stuff, and they're here with us because they care about the students. And so it's as simple as just knocking on their door, walking in, and saying like, "Hey, I don't know what I want to do, like, but this is what I'm interested in. Like, what would you recommend?" And I think that's a lot of thing too with a lot of the employers that kind of come in and do a lot of the presentations during our lunch hour. We have them like every day. There's a ton of agencies and a ton of different places and a ton of companies that you've never even heard of, jobs that you didn't ever think about. I mean, a lot of people will come into the Bush School and they'll be very like locked in on doing like one job. Like they have one career path in mind. They're like, I want to go to this agency. I want to go like work here. I want to work in this country, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they get here and then they see this huge wide variety of opportunities that they didn't even know existed. And it can definitely change your career path. But I think there's the ability to have an open mind on that and like seek that out and not kind of put all your eggs in one basket on that is something that's really important as well. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of opportunities for internships, and even you can do the language immersion like Julia did abroad. That is something that you can do. Um, and I've also heard some really good experiences from that. So there's some really cool opportunities for that as well. But I will say like a lot of people, like a lot of us interns, like Allie and Colleen and I were all in DC this summer. So a lot of people end up in DC, and so there's some cool opportunities for that, and being able to be kind of all together on that is really cool too. But I would say kind of if you have stuff in mind, like certain agencies or stuff like that, definitely reach out to them, go on those websites, stuff like that. USA Jobs is another opportunity as well. I found that to not be as helpful than going to directly to the certain places that you're looking for as well. But definitely keep an open mind because like there is a lot more out there, especially government positions, a lot more stuff out there that's not advertised super well that you won't be able to find unless you look for it or you go and talk to someone about it. So I highly recommend that as well.